Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to What Up Clay channel. We talk about all kinds of things, how to fix it, build it, and maintain it. Today I have a old motor. That's right, it's an old motor. It's a Tekin Redline 17.5T Gen 3 motor. So yeah, it's got some age on it. Check this out. That ain't good. So, what do I have new? This is the project today. I have a new rotor to go into the motor. I have new bearings to go into the motor. What I'm going to do in this project here is I'm going to see if it's worth rebuilding an old motor or if it's better off just buying a new motor. Parts right here are about 60 bucks with shipping, tax, license, dock fees, and whatever. Too bad they don't have assembly fees. Gotta do them myself. That's what makes it fun. Anyhow, let's go and learn something. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this thing into the WMH Racing Loadmaster stand. I also make the motor stand. It doesn't have this part. All you get is just that right there. But you see this? No more alligator clip. Just snap the motor in place. Everything plugs right in. Alright, let's see what this thing's tuned at. Let's do an auto test. See what number we're looking at. Alright, right now we're running about 4.21 amps, 49.9. Look at that M-bell timing right there. That's some pretty tight numbers. Yep, 0.6 M-bell deviation. That's pretty good. Rotor simmering. So, what I can say, this thing right here looks like it'd be turned up a little bit more. Well, let's go ahead and turn it up. You know, I'm going to see what it gets, about a little over 5 amps. Timing at that, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I bumped the timing up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and see where we're sitting. I'm going to sit somewhere between 5 and 6 amps, probably close to 6 amps. That's usually what's been best with these motors. Go ahead and take a look where we're at. We're at 52.7. The current on there is 5.79. That's pretty good. KV is 32.99. Try to type in this info as I go along, and ML 52.7, 52. 52.8, 53.2. Let's see what the those numbers are pretty good. That M-bell deviation is going to be low. Right there, it up. 0.4, 1.7, 1.8. 77 degrees. Okay. Let's see what the RPMs are on this thing. Right around 23,400. Seems to be about a good number there. Yeah, it's fair. 23,400 RPMs. Alright, so now we know we have it tuned. I'm happy where the current draw is and stuff like that, KV and so on. Let's go ahead and put it on the Loadmaster. Let's put a load on it and see if this motor has any torque. My guess, with that motor spinning so freely like that, my guess is that I'm not going to get much torque on it. Might not even be able to start to spin it, but let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, let me hook this thing up. Alright. First off, the load motor, I'm going to use the same load motor I use on all the motors I test. Therefore, they come out to have their apples to apples testing, basically. This is the Surpass V6 17.5. This is the lightweight. This is the couple on here that I attach the other motor to. So, yeah, I'm going to snap this thing in. The resistors that I'm using here are the same resistors I use on, again, on all the motors. It's the 1 ohm resistors. Alright, let me get this thing locked in place and set up and run the test. Okay, it's all locked in. Let's go ahead and run a test on this and see what the numbers are. Alright. Wow, the current. That wasn't a very big jump in current right there. Was write the stuff in here is 8.42. KV was 2519. Timing is 50.06. The time down is 50. 50.6. 51.3. Anything over here change? Yeah, that changed a little bit there. The 0.4 is the same, but the 2.1, those change, which is fine. They're going to change. And then it went up 2 degrees on the temp. Alright. Let's see what the RPMs is on this string. Wow, that took a big current drop right there. The battery dipped. Let me just put a different battery on it. Might be a low battery because I saw the voltage on it change. Okay, let's try that test again with the about 18,900 RPMs. That's a bit of a drop in RPMs. Alright, so yeah, it's about 5,000 RPM drop. That's a bit of a drop. As expected, the rotor on this thing seems pretty weak. So now we'll take the motor apart. I'll put it on the rotor master and then see what the Gauss differences between the two rotors are. Okay, so here I have the WMH Racing rotor master. This right here is the it's kind of the pearl blue color that they have with the white board. They have different colors to choose from. This one I like. It's pretty. Okay, let's put this thing on here. Line it up to where the top and the bottom. So what I want to do is I want to line up the top number with the bottom one as close as possible. Right about there. Now if you notice, look at the middle number. See how I'm sliding this thing? The bottom number is now 1222, the top one's 1339, the middle one's reading about 1300. Now if I slide it the other direction, see how you see a difference? But you have to be substantially off to actually see a huge difference in if the top and the bottom don't line up exactly. That's why I don't shim it, because it doesn't make enough difference to the middle number. I could be off 50 points and it doesn't make that much of a difference. But anyhow, I'll try to line this up right there. Let's see what readings I get. This is the South Pole side. It looks to me like the best I got was 1506. Oops, I knocked that way off there, didn't I? All right, 1508, 1509, 10. About 1510 would be about the best. Now, to show you the difference, if I slid this over, see right there, I'm a good 50 points off. My highest is still 1510. See if I slid over more. Now I'm 150 off. Now you start to see a difference, but not much. See that? I'm still getting a 1506 in the middle. So I know some people are concerned that you have to shim it because otherwise it's going to be too far off. Well, you see right here, the top number and the bottom number, they're 140 points off, and I'm getting the same as if they were pretty much dialed into exact, which is right about there. See, it's 15. Oops. I'm pushing down on it, so it's changing it. If I didn't push down on it, but you see here, it's the same. 510, 59. If I push down on it, that's when you see it go higher. But anyhow, 510, 59, same thing as if I was 140 off. It's doing the same number. So, shimming it, you can shim it if you want to. The difference isn't worth my time to sit there and try to shim it to be up 0.5 or whatever in the middle. Anyways, that being said, it's 1510 is on the south side. And then on the north side, North Pole, see if we get over there. Get about 15, it's about the same. Uh, 1510, also the same. That's pretty rare. You don't see that very often. So that gives an average of 1510. Now, to give you an idea, the other ones, you want something that has at least over 1700 for a rotor strength. But so that's that one. Now, let's bust out the new one here. Now, the Tekin rotor here is the same rotor that goes in the G4. As you can see right here, it's a G4 rotor. I did speak with Tekin. They said it's the same exact part number. They just now call the G4 instead of the G3, but it's pretty much a carryover part. This is the blue rotor, which is the standard one they put in. It's right in the middle. It's not the high torque, and it's not the light motor, light rotor. So okay, in case you're wondering, the rotor number on this one is I can't read it, 2776. So they actually changed the rotor number from the Gen 3 to the Gen 4, but it's the same rotor. Alright, so now Let's get this thing lined up here. It looks to me like we're going to run in the neighborhood of about 18 or 1580, 86 on the south side. 1586. Now, how you tell the difference between the north and the south side is on these ones here. On this Rotor Master, if there's a line, let's get to the line. Right there, you see the minus symbol. That means it's the north side. Without the symbol is the south side. So let's get this one running here. This looks like it might be a little bit more powerful on the north side, but it's still pretty relatively well balanced. Let's get this in. There you go. 93, 194. Make sure I'm not putting any weight on it, because sometimes you put a little bit of weight on it, it'll throw it off. About 1590. All right. So if you average that out, that'll probably come to average about 1588. Be about the Gauss strength, which is not very strong considering, like I said, the other ones out there are around 1700. But I mean, it also depends on the internal windings and everything of the stator. So, you know what? Let's actually take a look at the stator right now. The stator on here actually looks pretty good. The windings are really tight. I don't see anything funky on the inside. Not like the Hobby Wing, which was very loose. Had very loose windings in there. This one here looks like the other one's very tight. There's one that's kind of loose. Overall, it's good. Looks clean inside. Doesn't look all dirty. All right, but yeah, it looks like a very well machined and produced motor. Tekin makes some pretty good stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to change the bearings out. I'm going to put the new rotor in it, and then I'm going to run on the tunelizer and see if I can tune it to roughly the same amount of amperage, the current draw, and we'll see what we get. Alright, so I have the motor all put together. I tuned it already, adjusted the time and everything to be as close as possible as I can get it. It's actually, I mean, if I go up one more degree, it shoots up an extra amp. So, actually just a little bit over another amp. But here's what I have. So let's go ahead and run the test. I'll show you what we have. 5.69 amps at 2821. So the kV is better. It's a lower kV. Let's see here. We got, I'm just going to type it in as I go along, so I don't mess it up too bad. All right. Just so we can get an idea, comparing the numbers together. Yeah, the kVA is kind of low. It's a lot lower than before. Before it was 32.99. Now it's 28.21. That's how many rotations per voltage. So 1.2. So I'm wondering if the torque went up much higher. The inbuilt deviation still looks pretty good. That's pretty close numbers. But let's see if anything else changed on it. Yeah, the looks at rotor symmetry and the Hall signal deviation change, which we would, because it's a new rotor, different rotor, and the rotor was a little bit, I mean not much, but slightly off from each other. Overall, it's still really balanced rotor. And look at that temperature, 75 degrees. That's 2 degrees less than what it was running before. So that means the motor's not nearly putting much stress. So, all right, let's go ahead and put it under a load and see what we have. So I was about ready to put it on a load, but then I realized I did not run the RPMs on it. So let's do that now. So it's about 20,600. That's substantially lower than before. That explains, you know, like the kV was a lot lower than it was before, and that would make sense because the RPM is a lot lower. So, interesting. New rotor, rebuilt motor, less RPMs. But usually with a lighter rotor, you usually get more RPMs. But let's go ahead and put it on the load. Okay, got it all hooked up. Let's go ahead and run the test on it. See what we do. See what we do. 8.61 is the current. 36 or 2369. Wow. 69 is that. That's not a very big difference right there. Timings 51.1. That didn't change much. Not much at all. Look at that temperature. Temperature is 75 degrees still. That's after being put on a load. That's pretty good. That means this thing didn't have much stress on it. Well, let's find out. See what your RPMs that I lost. About 17,500. All right. So I have all the numbers punched in. Let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers and compare them. Okay, so here are the numbers. Up here we have, well, let's start from the beginning. Here we have the Tekin Redline spec 17.5 motor. This is the rotor that's in it. The rotor that I swapped out is the same rotor that's in the G4. The part number for that is 2776. It's the blue rotor. It's the one that comes in the G4, the standard one. They have a higher torque rotor, and they also have a lower torque rotor. I just went ahead and got the one that was apples to apples, the standard with the standard. So the middle one with the middle one. So the Gauss is 1510 with an average of 1510. That's for the old one. The new one's 1590, 1586, average of 1588. That's a bit of substantial amount of difference in Gauss. Let's see here. We have for the test voltage 7.4. Always doing the 7.4. Current start off is 5.79 at 52.7 degrees. After the rebuild, 5.69 at 51.2. If I went up one more degree to the 52.7, the current jumped up like almost a little over 1 amp. It's like 1.3 amps with the current jumped up. So I'm at the peak. This is the top. I can go 51.2. You see here the loaded. The current on this one right here went down a little bit. Current draw from the rebuild. Remember, the one down here is rebuild. The one up here is the old one. RPMs dropped substantially after the rebuild. It's probably because of stronger rotor. I don't know why that happens, but usually a stronger rotor means less RPMs. Here's where you see a big difference loaded with the rebuild. The RPMs did not drop as much. Not much at all. The timing did not change hardly at all. That right there was that's the difference, because all the other motors I've done, there's been a substantial change in the timing and so on. You can go back and look at my other videos. You'll see how they relate to the new motors. Let's see here. Let's jump down to the end. I still have, still leave the current and stuff like that on there so you can relate back. So, unloaded, I'm sorry, the old version, the old motor, before I rebuilt it, in the current, there's a 31% drop in current draw. Actually, it was a 31% increase in the current draw. The difference between the two was 31%. The kV was also a 780 kV difference, and then the RPMs was 4,500 RPM difference. That's a lot of RPMs difference. That's a lot of kV difference right there. After I rebuilt the motor, 34% increase in current draw, it's kind of shocking. But kV, there's only 16% difference in kV, which it dropped 452 kV, and the RPM is 15%. So if you look at the RPMs over here, load is 18,900 for before the rebuild. After the rebuild was 17,500. By looking at these numbers and looking right here, there's 2 degree difference in the temperatures. It was actually cooler after I rebuilt it. It ran a lot cooler. Even under a load, it was a 4 degree difference. I mean, it didn't even change right here. It means that the motor wasn't even sweating under a load. You could easily re-gear this motor to weigh totally surpass the RPMs on this. RPMs up here, this right here, there's no weight on the motor, no load on the motor. That's right there, you don't even look at it. 23,400. You don't want to look at that because that's unloaded. That's a free spinning motor. This right here, loaded, is what you want to look at. And right there, you're seeing there's about 1,400 RPM difference, which again, I mean, you could slap a gear, an extra tooth on your pinion, and you'll be right up there. You probably do go up two teeth on your pinion compared to the unloaded, or the unrebuilt one, the non-rebuilt one. So, the other numbers, again, there's like, I know there's tens of thousands of RC racers out there. Therefore, you're going to have tens of thousands of different opinions on what these numbers mean. This is my opinion on these numbers. If you have a different opinion, by all means, drop in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. And also help share your knowledge with other racers out there that also watch this channel. So let's go ahead and go over. I'll give you my final review on the motor rebuild. All right, everybody. Here's my opinion on this. First off, these motors here, a little history on this motor. This motor here, these came out in, I believe, 2015. Highly competitive motor back then. How it compares to today, probably not that competitive. As you saw with the numbers that I had, running with the big boys, it's not going to be the best route to go. This motor here, I actually got this from a guy who said he's never overheated it, but when I put in my buggy and tried to run, it was actually from my daughter when she put in her truck, it barely took off. I had to drop it down. It had like no torque, no takeoff torque. So it tells me that this right here just need to rebuild, and that guy made off with my money. But what could have damaged it? It could have been overheated. This right here, the rotor was pretty weak. When people say that they never get these things overheated, you gotta be careful. Motor getting overheated, everybody has their own opinion on maximum temperature that they'll take a motor before they deem it as being damaged. I personally don't run my motors more than like 120, 130, but it'd be like 130 tops. I like my motors to last a while, and I don't care about being that competitive. I'm just out there for the fun of it. If I get in the middle of the pack, I'm all good. So rebuilding it, if it's worth it or not. These bearings here, I probably could have cleaned these and been just fine, not using them or not buying new ones. Just clean these and put them on there, probably would have been just fine. The rotor, as you saw, was worn. It was about 80 gauss difference, something like that, 70 gauss difference. That's a big difference in torque. This motor today, it would be competitive probably in the rookie division. If you try to go up into the run with the bigger dogs, then probably not. If I was to change anything, different rotor, I'd probably go with the high torque motor, therefore I can gear a little bit more, but then you're going to drop down in RPM as well. But, you know, if you're a beginner, speed isn't always the fastest way around the track. Not crashing is the fastest way around the track. But for 60 bucks, for the bearings and the rotor, I would not have done it. You can get a Surpass motor out there for about 75 bucks, and if you ask me, those right now are probably the top dog on the track right now to beat. Those are crazy, pretty crazy motors. If you just wanted something budget-wise, you can get rotors for between 35, 55 bucks for the big name brand motors, which you slap one of those in and just to get you out there on the field. And you know, you know, could you be competitive with the big guys? Like I said, probably not. But with the rookies, yeah, you'll be competitive. Definitely be competitive. And it's a good way to be able to get out on the track without spending, you know, tons of money to get out there. But anyhow, that's my opinion on rebuilding motors. This is pretty much the differences in rebuilding a motor versus running it the way it is. If this video was informative for you, please hit the like button and subscribe. If it wasn't informative for you and you didn't like the video, subscribe anyway, just so you can watch all my videos and make fun of me. Alright, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.